Hello, today's video is on Pete Daly's place. This was a stage stop where allegedly Henry Plummer's gang members would wait there and listen and note who was traveling with gold, mark stagecoaches and stuff for robbery. Anyway, the Pete Daly's place, after one left Virginia City and Nevada City, and before they got to Sheridan, it was on the left as one traveled. And it has a lost treasure story associated with it that claims that when Henry Plummer was going to be lynched, he offered his share of the gold from all these crimes in exchange for his freedom. 300,000 in gold dust and nuggets and loot are supposed to be buried by Henry Plummer within 100 yards of one of the corners of the corral. And one of the vigilantes, I believe his name's William Owlsley, he became the third mayor of Butte. Well, he actually spent time digging around there part of several summers, and he never could find the gold that was supposed to be buried there by Henry Plummer. In our books, he was interviewed on this, and the articles are in our books, and he said he might not have found it even if he had a steam shovel. It was so much area to cover. And so anyway, this is in Adventure Trails of Montana, sponsored by the Montana Historical Society. The story's there. Several other Montana books, various authors have had this story. And we also found another mention that, some believe that there's no gold buried there. And this is currently marked with one of those historical roadside signs, so nobody can search there because it's a protected historical location for the state of Montana. But sometimes the treasure, like for what we do, is the actual story and finding what's behind these stories. But we did find one other little thing here that makes this Pete Daly's place a rather interesting aspect of the history of it. Of the original party members that found the gold that became Alder Gulch, Virginia City, Nevada City, 14-mile city with all the mining camps from Summit all the way on down. Bill Fairweather, first man to find gold, he used to ride up and down the streets tossing gold dust and small nuggets to watch children and Chinamen scramble for the gold. Well, he was a drinker too, and the first gold nugget found by him in Alder Gulch to start the big stampede and people leaving Bannack to go to the new Bonanza. He accidentally threw the nugget away in Virginia City. And so he had an ad in a newspaper for a reward, apparently, to find that gold nugget. So probably one of the most historical gold nuggets found, even though it was probably a small one, for the state of Montana, is still lost in Virginia City, Montana. But what tied Bill Fairweather into the original story of Pete Daly's place is for having been one of the original discoverers and making quite a bit of money. He died penniless of alcoholism at Pete Daly's place. So several of the other members of the original discovery party, we also have them included in our books and what became of their money. And you'd be surprised at how basically they come away with, over the years, with nothing. Anyway, back to Pete Daly's place, the stagecoach stop. Now you can look online and you can read the historical roadside sign, and it says that this is not the same stagecoach stop that existed at the time of Henry Plummer, and I think that's a deterrent, that sign. I believe it is the same location. I found on the internet conflicting information whether it is or it isn't. So it's up to the reader to decide. But my suggestion is if you're going through this area, you want to stop and you want to walk around and look at that building. And if you looked in the window like I did and seen them warped floorboards, you would say, yeah, this building's that old. So there's a second lost treasure at Pete Daly's place. If Henry Plummer's is there, that's number one. But the second lost treasure story for this location is Pete Daly was married and he drank and he gambled. Well, his wife, she took care of the meals and cleaning the rooms, and people that stayed the night would tip her with a pinch of gold dust. And so, because her husband drank and gambled, she kept that gold dust tips in a jar and she hid it from him. And when she passed away, no one ever found her tip jar. So, allegedly, according to the story, and I believe this story is very accurate and true, she lived in a little cabin behind this Pete Daly's place. And the source of this story is volume 1 of Trials and Trails put out by the Madison County Historical Society. And so sometimes reading some just local history, you're going to find lost treasure stories. Sure, this one you can't go dig for, you can't swing a metal detector for. It's kind of sacred ground to the state of Montana, but the story's there. And you have to wonder how many other locations across the state is there something hidden away that most likely nobody knows exists. So I was happy to present this story. Everybody has read about the Henry Plummer 300,000 in gold dust. There's two versions. It's at Robber's Roost. Another version is it's buried in the floor of a cabin somewhere along one of the forks of the Sun River. But at least we turned up a lost treasure buried and hidden away. It was a hard-working woman's tip jar of gold dust. And so, until next time, have a good day.